Hi, I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. This series of videos is to assist licensing regulation authorities to understand the work of licensed private investigators in Australia. Several years ago, whilst working for a firm called English Lake, owned by Mr. Ray Dent from Victoria, I was charged with the responsibility of locating a witness. Now, this witness was in a small country town in Tasmania, where I lived at the time, and I was a licensed investigator there. And I'd had some success with locating people, particularly by contact with the local country police officer in the small country town where they lived. So I rang up this police officer, I explained who I was, what I was doing, and I was trying to find a person that lived in Longford, in Tasmania, 5 years prior to that, and we can't locate them. All they were was a witness to a motor vehicle accident, and we needed to locate them and take a statement from them. Now, the prophetic wise words of that country police officer were simply this: Mike, that's great, I wish I could help you, but police officers such as myself, we don't deal with salt-of-the-earth type people. If you were looking for someone with criminal tendencies, yes, I would know who they were. But who you mentioned, I have no knowledge of, because obviously they're a fine, upstanding citizen and they don't come in contact with the police. Now, I listened to that and I took it on board and I thought about it, and he was an experienced police officer of many years, very well respected in his community, and the advice he gave me was actually quite prophetic. Police officers do not interact with salt-of-the-earth people in their role as a police officer. So I still had no further avenues of inquiry to go to locate my missing person, but I thought about it, I considered it, I knocked on a few doors, and eventually I located him. But it always stuck with me what he said to me. Now, as a licensing regulation authority, yes, you will meet private investigators in the application process for their private investigator's licence on occasion. You may even go to some of their industry association meetings, but you will not really interact with them unless they transgress the licensing regulations or the Act in your state. Now, this is a common thing between private investigators and police officers. Sometimes a private investigator will go rogue, just like sometimes a police officer will. It's a very small percentage. So what I'm saying to you is, just like in any other profession, please understand, 99% of people in this profession as a private investigator do their job appropriately, correctly and properly, and they stick within the rules and the acts of the state that they are licensed within. So the first thing I'd like you to understand as a platform for moving forward is, yes, regulatory authorities do enact the rules, regulations and the act relating to the licensing of private investigators. Private investigators don't like it when someone cheats the system as a licensed private investigator. It's bad for their reputation, it's bad for their industry's reputation. So some of the positive measures that licensing regulation authorities have undertaken recently in Australia is 1, attendance at industry association meetings, 2, issuance of monthly newsletters in relation to licensing issues and with examples of where breaches had occurred and what actions were taken. So basically those 2 steps are information for compliant licensed private investigators to understand what's been happening in areas of non-compliance. By that kind of communication, it assists everybody to work together for the benefit of the industry.
Jump in my car, I wanna take you home. Jump in my car.